Welcome back over the same topic. We're very delighted to be having with us live Dr. Sahar Talaat, Professor of Mass Comm. Good morning, Dr. Talaat.
Good morning and happy Ramadan.
Same to you here. Ramadan Kareem to you and the rest of the family. And of course, as we all know, that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is one of the most important supporters for Egyptian women, and in particular the Egyptian mothers. In that particular ceremony, he is taking, actually, generally speaking, he is holding, the Egyptian administration is keen on holding that particular ceremony every year. And of course, he awarded them a very important award that is given to people of a special status, the Order of Virtues of the Second Class. He awarded the ideal mothers and, of course, also women icons and mother icons in society. So how do you assess the President's appreciation to the Egyptian mothers on their special day?
I would say that Egyptian women are really very skilled and they have lots of potentials. And they have a very high sense of responsibilities. So I think now the Egyptian administration, and since so long, but lately in the last decade, we are really enjoying this development in our society. Because as you know that we cannot have any development in our society if we are not having a complete participation from both sides, men and women. And at the same time, you know, they really appreciate the efforts of women. And also, it's also very essential in this point to highlight that this half of the society is educating and is raising all the society. So it's almost very obvious for anyone, and it's also very appreciated from our president and also from the whole nation now to highlight on the role of women in Egypt.
Of course, there is no deny that women are the core and the driving force of any development and the core of any foundation of society. So with the president that we have been empowering and enforcing women for almost more than 10 years now, having more than 7 or 8 women ministers in the Egyptian cabinet, and also giving them decision-making positions and empowering their rights and you know, pushing forward them onto the front lines in every occasion. So how do you assess the government's efforts to be able to empower the economic core of development by empowering women? How important is it?
It's very important because we are seeing now lots of projects that they have been holding since so long now. As you said, since a decade, and I think it's more than this. So, for example, from social point of view, we have the Takaful and Karama project, which is, you know, Dignity and Solidarity project, which is one of the most sophisticated and most recognized projects that we have to support women financially and economically. For example, another very important project that we are having now is in the health sector, which is, for example, the permanent campaigns that we are having these days now, and since so long. For example, for precautions of the diabetes, or for general checkups, or for cancer, or for example, we also got several campaigns regarding, for example, eye sight and operations. The projects that they are going to re-establish abandoned areas in rural areas in Egypt. Also, the other projects that they are focusing on the new urbanization and getting out families and women, especially women, responsible women of their families in, for example, we can call it unsafe areas, and they are moving now to new cities and new urbanized zones. So those are projects, and other projects as well, like the family support and the elderly fund and many other projects that they are coming out, and they are really focusing. Now the government is changing the whole perspective and the culture also of women regarding all these projects, and also the whole society is definitely changing from down to up and from up to down.
Right. So the president also talked about the importance of issuing and renewing the social laws and services for women and giving them full capacity to the rights. What is the significance of this important focus by the president to ensure women their full lawful rights, social rights, legal rights? How do you assess that?
I assess that for example, we have now that there are lots of projects that they are financing women to establish small, medium enterprises, or they are now entrepreneurs. For example, they are supporting this, and they are empowering women to really to go forward in this field. We are minimizing the risks of working areas. For example, these projects, they are helping women to work from home. There are also guaranteeing and stressing on financial awareness for them. So there are lots of, for example, banks or NGOs, especially the civil society now, they do work a lot with women in lots of areas in all of Egypt to support these programs. And also we have this inclusiveness, because before we must know that this sense of inclusiveness in our society was a little bit limited. So now we don't have this limitation, and they are promoting more and more participation in the society on all levels, either educational level, financial level, economic level, health level, in all cultural level as well. So this is a type of, for example, changing a little bit the cultural stereotyping of women that they had before, and even the society in general. So I think it's one of the most helpful and the most also promising projects that they will change a lot in our map in Egypt.
Right. Of course, there must be everywhere in the world, not only in Egypt, but other developing countries, and also in European and Western countries. There must be some social challenges that stand in the way of women towards development, towards to be pushed forward. What are those social challenges, and how are they addressed by the Egyptian administration? How far have women come in the past 10 years?
For example, if we are going to talk internationally, so women are facing lots of challenges and even lots of threatened situations. Like, for example, in war zones, in conflict zones, women, for example, in Africa and in so many different other places in the whole planet, they are suffering from poverty. They are suffering from, for example, less participation in the society, or unequal opportunities to get employed and so on. However, and these are numbers, and actually lots of reports that they are coming out from the UN organizations, either UNDP or UNICEF or other UN organizations. They do work a lot, or UN Women. They do work a lot on in developing countries, and they work on having equal opportunities for everyone in these societies, and especially in supporting women and children in these vulnerable societies. However, here in Egypt, I think we got the lesson since so long, and we have been working so hard on these challenges that we are facing. But still, until today, for example, we are still facing some challenges, like, for example, the high level of birth that we have here in Egypt. This is one of the most challenging issues that we must face, and we must face clearly, because it's almost eating all points of development that we need to have in our society. Also, the orientation towards health and women's health is very important, and integrating and creating this inclusiveness of knowledge about the importance of health for women is one of the major points that we must work on more and more. I think also that the role of the media in advocating and enhancing these issues is very important on all levels, and in every type of media. We must work more and more on providing more programs, for example, on highlighting on how important these projects are important for women to change their mindset, and also to create a different society that we need, all of us, to live in comfort areas and also in peaceful areas as well.
Right. So we as women, we can't help it, but also take a flashback together at our achievements in the past 10 years, since we have elected a president who is a good stauncher for women, who is a good support and a backbone for Egyptian women. So every year at this particular time of the year, we cherish together our achievements and our worries and how far we have achieved and everything. So in your own assessment as an Egyptian successful woman in your field, how do you assess our achievements?
As I said before, we are very challenging women. We are full of lots of responsibilities. Women really are really empowered, and every day they are gaining more spaces to promote themselves, to work hard, to voice their challenges and their skills. I'm seeing, for example, lots of fields that we have been tackling, and we have been suffering for not being representative in these fields, such as, for example, judges, female judges and prosecutors. These are one of the most important, for example, points that we have been reaching lately. Also, launching these projects, as I'm saying, to eliminate, for example, illiteracy and digital illiteracy regarding women, to promote entrepreneurship ideas, and how, for example, working from home is one of the most adequate, for example, for so many women, especially in rural areas, to participate literally and economically and financially to support their families and also to support themselves. The other health programs that we have to support, for example, psychologically the repercussions of violence against women, and we have lots of centers that they are supporting these women. The role of civil society as well. It's one of the most important elements that we do have here now in Egypt, and they work so hard to elaborate the strategy that we have for 2030 in Egypt.
Right. Dr. Sahar Talaat, you are a professor of mass comm. I'd like to thank you for talking to us on the Breakfast Show, and you have a good day.